Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today, and welcome to this educational presentation where we have these free educational webinars each and every Wednesday at 10 a.m. And today I'm going to be talking about how to never miss a big move again. New students usually come to us with this problem in mind. They say, Steve, I always seem to miss the big moves, either the big moves up or the big moves down. Either some news comes out and I miss it entirely, or it goes straight down and I'm still left holding on to a position and I never got out. So today we're going to be talking about this with a tool and a technique that can really help you to never miss a big move again. Let's take a look at this chart here. I'll show you exactly what I mean. All right, we're looking at an older chart here. This is an older weekly chart of FCX. Let's say you were interested in purchasing this. You've been doing the research, you liked it a lot, and then all of a sudden you say to yourself, well, I think I'm going to be a buyer in this. But then one day it just takes off. And you say to yourself, gosh, I missed the entire move. In fact, this is where I thought I'd be selling it. It went up about 80% of its price gain. And now I think I'll be exiting the position entirely. Well, you say to yourself, I'll buy it when it comes back and pulls back to the breakout area. Okay, this is what a lot of traders do. They figure, well, I missed the first move, but it'll come back and I'll get it on the second leg and then it'll go back up, right? This is the way most traders trade, giving themselves a justification to wait. Well, the technique I'm going to share with you today didn't wait at all. In fact, on this bar, it generated a buy signal. So you could have gotten in and taken advantage of another 16-point gain. So you could have taken advantage of actually the bigger move, which was 16 points altogether. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. Now, I know a lot of you say, well, gosh, does this require me to have a hand calculator all the time and figuring out the numbers and using something that I'm not really sure about what it's based on or how it works? No, because everything we teach you in the course is not a black box system. We teach you exactly how to apply it with this technique. And it's one click away on the PTS Primo charting platform. This is the educational platform I developed and put together with Pro Trader Strategies that actually teaches you how to catch these big moves. So welcome once again. My name is Steven Primo. I am the president and founder of Specialist Trading. And today we're going to be talking about a great tool that I use a lot in my personal trading. You can apply it to any market, any time frame, and it really does help you capture these big moves because it's specifically designed to identify when these big moves are going to happen. And oftentimes it will identify them in advance of the big move itself. Now, I've been trading now for 47 years. I started my career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for 16 years, and 9 of those years, I was a specialist. That's where we get the name specialist trading. A specialist is someone who makes markets in roughly about 50 or 60 stocks. So in the old days, there was no electronic trading. So you had to call up your floor broker who would call the floor, your stockbroker who would call the floor broker, and he would walk up to me, the specialist, and ask to buy a stock or to sell a stock. I had to make a market in. Some of the stocks I made markets in were IBM, Waste Management. And so I traded through the crash of 87 and the bull market that followed. And in my 47 years of trading experience, I can honestly say I know what works in terms of consistency and I know what doesn't work because I've tried them all and traded through them all. So here's the good news. We formalized specialist trading with one goal in mind: to simply teach our students around the world all of those things that have high levels of consistency. And you'll see that in today's educational presentation. Now, before we begin, once again, we are required to share this with you before each and every webinar, so please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using this indicator today, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And since we are first and foremost an educational company, all of our examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, if you haven't done so already, please feel free to follow us on Twitter or X and also to subscribe to us on YouTube. We are streaming live on YouTube. For those of you following us and watching us right now, please click on the subscribe button. You'll get a lot more information on when our webinars are going to take place, and you can watch them at your leisure. Also, on our Twitter or X page, once again, I post upwards of 5 to 7 different snapshots a day of signals our methods have generated. Also, little bits of financial wisdom. So there's lots of great free education on a daily basis. Please feel free to follow us on Twitter and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay. Now, remember, once again, we are first and foremost an educational company. So what does that mean? Well, I can tell you what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean I'm going to be telling you what I think the market's going to do. Is it going to keep going higher? Is it topping out right here? I'm not going to tell you what I think the best stock to buy is or the best stock to sell. I'm not going to tell you what the perfect time frame is, because those are things you have to figure out. If there's one thing I've learned in my 47 years of trading, the only traders that are consistent, the only ones that are still trading, are the ones that make their own trading decisions. They don't go to a website to find out what the market's going to do. They don't listen to the guys on TV, the pundits, to find out what stock they like or don't like. They don't ask someone what time frame they're trading, what they think the best time frame is. They find those things out for themselves, because that's the way you become a part of the process. Some traders will tell me after becoming students of mine, saying, Steve, gosh, your stuff is amazing. I use it on an hourly chart, and I've really increased my odds for consistency, and I think that's the best way to use it. Or I'll have other students using the exact same technique or strategy and say, Steve, this is fantastic on weekly charts of crypto. I think that's the best market for it. You see, it doesn't mean that one is right and the other one is wrong. It means that you have to find your own way. Everyone comes in with different parameters, different risk parameters on how to trade. Someone may have a bigger or larger account size. Someone may have a small account size. Someone may have a large risk parameter. Someone may have a very small risk parameter. So you have to pick and choose what feels normal and comfortable for you. It doesn't mean that they work better in one market or one time frame. It means that you feel more comfortable trading it in a particular market and a particular time frame. And that makes all the difference. The good news is that's why we formalize specialist trading. We work with you and mentor you so you can find what feels natural and right for you. So my goal is not to force feed you signals the way so many other websites do. A good mentor does not trade for you. He teaches you how to trade. And that's what my goal is. And the way to trade is with a specialist edge. This is the same edge that was taught to me and what has sustained me now for 47 years, and hopefully it can do the same for you. Now, a few announcements before we begin. As I stated, we start these presentations each and every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. So if you came in late, or if you're having difficulty hearing, or just you have to leave early, don't worry. Each and every one of you will get a link to this recording so you can watch it at your own leisure. Also, I have a good number of slides here to share with you today. I think about 150. So if you have to leave early or whatever, please don't ask the questions right now. Kind of wait till the very end of the presentation. I promise I will get to each and every one of them. But if you want to ask right away, we're not going to stop for answering any of the questions. So please wait till the end. That way we can get through all of the slides, okay? All right, with that stated, let's begin today's educational presentation. Now, remember, we're talking about how to never miss a big move again. And in order to do that, we need a tool or an indicator that's specifically designed to do that. And that tool is the PTS XT. We call it our extreme trend indicator, because it's designed to identify extreme trends in advance. Now, the way it does it is by displaying a color block on the charts. Now, if you see a red color block around 1 bar, 20 bars, whatever, that means you're in an extreme downtrend, according to the PTS XT. And if you see a yellow block around 1 bar, 10 bars, 20 bars, that means you are in an extreme uptrend. So let's talk about the trading process that is going to help you to hopefully never miss these big moves. All right, so let's go back to that chart we were looking at. Remember in the beginning, FCX is a weekly chart, and you were interested in buying it, and then it all of a sudden took off, and you said to yourself, you know what, I missed this entirely. So what I'll do is I'll wait for it to come down to this level where I was originally looking at it. And once it comes down here, this is where I'll buy. All right. This is the way most traders trade. And it's not a bad way of trading, but a lot of times you will miss these big moves waiting for it to come to your level. I'm sure we've all been at that point before. And so this is a way in which to alleviate that process. Okay, so first thing we want to do is plot the PTS XT extreme trend indicator. And it's really simple on our platform. So once again, we look at that chart, we come up to the green strategy tab where all of our methods and techniques are, and we find the PTS XT extreme trend. Simply click that on, and you'll see a drop-down menu, come down to highlighted signal, click that on, and you'll see if it's in an extreme uptrend or downtrend. It will automatically display that red block for a downtrend and green, I should say, yellow block for an uptrend. And yes, obviously we are in the yellow buy block. Now remember, this does not repaint or auto correct itself. In other words, once it starts painting a yellow block, which it did right here, well, you automatically know in advance that it has a high probability that it's going higher. Now, it doesn't predict how high or how low, but it just tells you there's a high probability because of the sensitivity of the PTSXT that it's going to be a big move. Now, what if you missed it? What if you weren't looking at this stock or weren't looking at this particular market, because you can apply it to all markets, all time frames? And what if you missed it? Well, guess what? Here's the technique I'm going to be teaching you today. So let's go to rule number 2 in the process. In the yellow buy block, once you have a yellow buy block established, buy the bar whose close is lower than the previous bar's low, okay? So we're looking for a bar whose close is less than or lower than the bar before its low. All right. I know it may seem a little confusing, but let's look at it right now. So in the yellow buy block, okay, we want to find a bar that closes below the previous bar. Well, we don't see any here. We see them closing lower, but they're not lower than the previous bar's low until we get to this bar. Now we closed lower and we closed below the previous bar's low, which is right here. All right. So this is all we're looking for. We're looking for a close that is below the previous bar's low. Once we see that, that's a buy signal. That's it. Because we are in the yellow buy block. And because of that, this is an extreme uptrend. So this means we're not going to come most likely all the way back down here. The indicator is so sensitive. It's saying most likely we're just stopping for a bar or two and then we're going back up. And look what happened. So you didn't miss the core of this big move, which was 16 points. Remember, that was a 100% price gain. So the stock was roughly about 16 when you purchased it and went up another 16 points that potentially you could have captured. So this is the beauty of using the PTSXT. Once you accompany it with this particular technique of looking for that bar that closes below the previous bar's low, you have a high probability of never missing a big move again. Now, this works on the sell side. So let's go through the process again. This time, we're looking at an older chart of the spiders. All right, so let's say you go to that chat room or that guy that you trade with as a friend of yours says, hey, Steve, there's major support right here in the spiders. They said it on TV, and I get that newsletter and that blog I read, and they say you've got to buy the spiders or the market because that represents the S&P 500. And for the next 3 or so days, it looks like they're right, actually. It bounced right after that support level was reached, okay? But what is the PTSXT telling us, which is, in my opinion, far more sensitive to what the market really wants to do? Well, what we want to do is, in the process, plot the PTSXT Extreme Trend Indicator. Come up to the Green Strategy tab, click on PTSXT. In the drop-down menu, click on Highlighted Signal. And you see that even though we did have a short 3 or 4 day bounce, well, guess what? We are still in the red sell block. And so what is the PTSXT telling us? It's telling us that we're still in an extreme downtrend. Until the price bars leave this red block, we are still projected to go much lower. Now, we don't know how low. Remember, it does not predict how low something will go. It's just telling us at the moment, are we in an extreme downtrend or not? And as we can see, it is. Now, this is different from other trending tools that you'll find and that we have ourselves at Specialist Trading. You know, most of the trending tools we have are either for short-term or for overall trend identification. The PTSXT is different in that it's only looking to identify extreme trends. These are the low-hanging fruit. These are the markets where you see it going either straight up or straight down, okay? So for traders who like to trade those markets only, this is a perfect tool for doing that. All right, so let's go to the process again. Now that we've plotted and displayed the PTSXT and we know that we are in the red sell block, we want to identify in the red sell block a bar that's close is greater than the previous bar's high. Okay, so let's look at that. We want to see a bar whose close is greater than the previous bar's high. Well, we see here that we closed greater, it's higher than the previous bar's high, which is right here. The close is above the previous bar's high. So what's this telling us? It's not telling us that we have major support and we should buy. It's doing the opposite. It's saying, listen, I'm not going to listen to those guys on TV or someone in the chat room. This is a bona fide sell signal. Now, for the next 2 days, nothing really happened in the spiders, but look what happened after it kicked in. The spiders fell 90 points. That's the ETF that represents the S&P 500. And if you wanted to see what that came out to in Dow Jones Industrial points, well, that came out to over 8,500 Dow points. So what a lot of our students do is they use this as a market directional tool. They'll apply this to different ETFs or different market indices like the S&P or maybe the NASDAQ, just to see what they think the market's going to do if they get a sell signal. So you don't have to necessarily, in other words, trade the spiders. Another great advantage to using this tool is even if you miss that first signal, well, guess what? As long as we are in the red or yellow blocks, you can still look for this same pattern. For example, here was another one. The close was higher than the previous bar's high. That was a sell signal. And look what happened. In the next 2 days, the market fell out of bed. And then once again, we had a close here that was higher than the previous day's high. Another sell signal, and we fell out of bed again. This is an extremely powerful technique to use once you accompany this with the PTSXT. It's a very powerful technique along with a very extremely powerful indicator. All right, so now you know the process. Now we know and understand how it works. Let's look at some more recent examples just so we can see it happening in the last month, some in the last week, okay? And remember, everything you're seeing and displayed is by applying the PTS Primo charting platform. You won't find this on any other platform anywhere else other than on the PTS Primo charts. I developed this and put this together with Pro Trader Strategies, and actually to teach you how to trade and also to simply identify these extreme trends in advance. All right, so let's start off here. Let's look at this chart in FANG, F-A-N-G. Doesn't look like much is happening, but you're kind of interested in this. You've done your research once again, and let's follow it. Well, it gaps up, and you think, well, maybe it'll come down, but then it goes higher, and you say, wow, okay, well, I don't want to buy it now. You know, I was hoping for it to maybe just kind of open a little bit higher and to start to take off. I buy around here. So I'll wait for it to come back and fill that gap. So you wait, and it goes even higher. So at this point, you say to yourself, that's it. I'm not going to buy this. It's already gone up too high. In fact, this is where I'd most likely be selling if I were able to buy it where I really originally wanted it to. And on top of that, you know, I go to those other websites and they say that this is really overbought. All the indicators say that it's too high. It's got to come down lower. Does this sound familiar to anyone? This is the way most traders make their decisions, right? By using an outside source. They're not really listening to the market. They're listening to faulty indicators. They're listening to some guy on TV, but they're not listening to the market itself. That's what the PTSXT does. It's so sensitive. It's just listening to what the market wants to do. So what we want to do is apply the PTSXT on our platform. Click it on. Click on Highlight Signal. And we see here that we are still in the yellow buy block. So until price leaves this yellow buy block, the way it was right here, it wasn't in here, we're still going to view this as a buying opportunity. So we want to look for a bar that closes below the previous bar's low. So we're looking right here. We don't find anything. This almost did, but really not. But this one did. As we see here, here's the previous bar's low, and we closed below it. So this is a buy signal. Now, most traders would say, how can I buy up here? I wanted to buy way down here, and I can't buy up here. Emotionally, it doesn't feel right. I feel like I'm buying at the top. This is where the PTSXT comes in, because it's not guaranteeing you that it's going to go higher, but there's a high probability that it will, because it's still in an extreme uptrend. And look what happened, 35 points. So you didn't miss the bulk of the move. You were still able to capture potentially 35 points. And once again, the advantage to this is, as long as price is in this yellow buy block, you can still look for that pattern right here. You could have taken advantage of another buy signal. And even right here, Weeks later, another buy signal to take advantage of this move. Here's an example in NVIDIA. Okay, we've all seen this stock in the news lately and seen how straight up it's gone. Let's say you missed it and it's kind of going sideways now, and you're saying to yourself, well, I want a little bit more confirmation because I'm not really sure about this, so I'll kind of sit and wait. But what is the PTSXT telling us? Well, we click it on our platform. In the drop-down menu, we click on highlighted signal. And we see here that even though it's going sideways, it's in a yellow buy block. That's how sensitive the PTSXT is. It's telling us that it appears as if nothing's happening, but we are in an extreme uptrend. It identifies these oftentimes before anyone else sees it. So if you want to apply this technique, we look for a bar that closed below the previous bar's low. And we see that this close was below this bar's low. So this is actually a buy signal. Now, this was in May. This was in the beginning of May, the first week in May. And we've all seen what the stock has done. Stock went, and plus it split on top of that, but it went up 50 points coming into the end of June. And once again, if you missed that opportunity, it was giving you many more to take advantage of. All right, let's look to the downside now. This one in IDXX. Let's say you wanted to buy puts. Once again, you don't like the company, or your research says, oh, this thing is falling out of bed. And for some reason, all of a sudden you miss it. Maybe you're out of town. Maybe you're too busy with work. And you say to yourself, gosh, I knew this was going to go down, but now it's gone down way too far. And I don't want to do anything now. And on top of that, look what happened on the next bar. It went up, and now we have a bullish engulfing pattern. Now, that course I took on candlesticks is telling me that this is very positive. So most likely we've hit some type of a low. And in all aspects, I should actually be a buyer now because this is a reversal pattern. And so this is telling me to buy. Okay. Once again, sound familiar, the way you make your justifications for trading in the market? Well, we have nothing against candlestick patterns, but we have an entirely different way to trade them. And I'll talk about that in an upcoming presentation. But for right now, let's see how valid that bullish engulfing pattern was. Click on the PTSXT. In the drop-down menu, click on highlighted signal. And guess what? Well, it may be a bullish engulfing pattern, but it's in a red sell block. And I would bet my money on the red sell block more than a candlestick pattern. Okay. All right. So now that the market is telling us that we're going lower because of an extreme trend, we want to look for that pattern, a bar that closes above the high of the previous day. Well, look at, we closed right here. Here's the previous day's high. So what's the market telling us? This is a sell signal. It's telling us that we didn't miss the move entirely, that for all intents and purposes, we have some more room to go to the downside. And even though it wasn't a lot, you still could have captured 20 more points in the next 3 days. Okay. Let's look at another chart here. Let's look at Adobe. All right. Originally, you wanted to buy it, but it took off and you missed it, right? And you go, wow, you know, that news came out and now this is terrible. I was going to buy this, but look at it. It gapped up. Now I can't buy it now. It's up too high. This is the way most traders feel. This is why a lot of students come to us and say, I always miss the big moves. Well, not really, because sometimes there's more room left in the move. For example, we apply the PTSXT and price is in the yellow buy block. And on top of that, this bar's close is lower than the low of this bar. So that's a buy signal. You say to yourself, how can I buy here? It gapped up and how can I buy? Well, it's up to you. Remember, this is not a black box, or this is not a systematic company where we tell you everyone has to buy at the same place and everyone has to take the trade in order for us to get our statistics. No, we're not a statistical company. We are simply an educational company where we just teach you, and it's your decision whether you want to take the trade or not. But in this case, it would have been a wise decision to take this signal because look what happened. It continued to go higher. In fact, 55 points higher. It never went back lower than where you would have purchased it. Okay, let's look at a chart here of Moderna. Now, this is looking back in hindsight. Someone would say, yes, these are the moves I always miss. How could I have gotten into this? You know, I missed this entirely. I was busy in another trade that didn't work out, and I missed this big move. Well, here's how we could have, looking back in hindsight, taken advantage of the PTSXT. We apply it, and we would have seen in well in advance of this big move. It was telling us that most likely there is a big up move going to be happening, an extreme move to the upside. So we would have known at this point here, all we have to do is look for that bar that closes below the previous bar. And what do we have right here? Right here, a buy signal was generated, and you could have taken advantage of a 52-point gain, all right, coming into June. Here's another example, looking back in hindsight, ADSK. Let's say you were long this stock, and you said, gosh, I wanted to get out, but I missed it, and now I'm stuck in this. How would I have known to exit, at least to get out of this? Every point it seemed to stop, and the guy on TV or the guy in that chat room said, this is the bottom. There's supposed to be a bottom right here, and we looked like we were firming up, and then we went lower, and then we're bottom right here. It's too oversold, and we went lower, and now it's really oversold. Well, guess what? If there's one thing I've learned in 47 years, there is no such thing as overbought or oversold. There's no such thing. It's an urban myth. How many of us have seen markets continue to go higher and higher and higher, and all the time they're so-called overbought, right? They just keep going higher and higher. And how many times have we seen stocks or markets just keep going lower and lower and lower, and all the time they're in the oversold territory? There is no such thing as overbought or oversold. You shouldn't rely on things like that, okay? You should just follow whatever the market is doing. And the best way to do that is to apply the PTSXT. And the market was telling us via the PTSXT that it was most likely going to be heading extremely lower right here, based off these bars, these initial bars in the red sell block. So if we had seen that, all we want to do is find a bar that closes above the previous bar's high. And what do we have right here? We close above the high of this bar. So that was a sell. If we were long, we could have exited using that technique and would have saved us a 42-point loss. Or if we were more aggressive, we could have gone short. We could have bought the puts or maybe even shorted the stock. It's up to us, but you're in charge. You see, our goal as an educator is not to tell you, oh, you've got to sell this, oh, you've got to buy this. It's for you to find through the education we teach you, and then for you to make your decision. That's the only way in my 47 years I have discovered how people become consistent. Not by going to a chat room and finding out what everyone else is doing, or not by subscribing to a signal service, but by making your own trading decisions. You have to be in charge of your trading. You can't let someone else do that for you. All right, looking in hindsight of Lin, okay? Once again, here's an extreme up move. How could we have taken advantage of this? This is a perfect example of why traders come to us and they say, can you help me take advantage of these big moves? Because I always seem to miss them. Well, if you're that type of trader that only wants to trade extreme trends, the best tool is the PTSXT. And look at, well in advance, we knew, even when it was going sideways, that most likely there was an extreme move to the upside happening because these were already in the yellow block. So right here and right here, we had buy signals right before the market shot up 65 points. Let's look at Tesla. Same thing. This is coming into last week, okay? July 5th. Today's the 10th. All right, how could we have taken advantage of this extreme move to the upside? All you have to do on our platform is click on PTSXT Extreme 10, click on highlighted signal, and it would have told you that well in advance. Guess what? You could have bought it right here on the second bar. It was in the yellow block. Why? Because it closed below the low of the previous bar. And you could have potentially captured 65 points, and you wouldn't have to have so many prospective students come up to me and say, gosh, Steve, why do I keep missing these big moves? Well, it's because you don't have the PTSXT. Now let's look at some different markets and some different time frames. All right, here's a 4-hour chart of the euro yen. Okay, 4-hour chart, pretty much an intraday chart. But looking at this, we see, well, it's got a big move, so I'm not going to do anything now because I kind of missed it on this intraday chart. And for all intents and purposes, we have some resistance here. That guy on TV says that the euro has most likely hit some resistance, so I don't want to do anything anymore. I'll just pass this one. Well, not a wise decision because, first of all, you're listening to someone else when you should be listening to the market. And the best way is to apply one of our tools, the PTSXT. And the PTSXT is still telling you we are in an extreme uptrend until we have a bar close outside the way these bars are. We are in extreme uptrend. And so you want to look for a bar that closes below the previous bar's low. And what do we have here? We closed below the low of this bar. So we still have a buy signal. where you think there's so-called resistance, we are buying. And look, in the next day and a half, you could have captured an extra 130 pips. That's close to $1,300 in just a little over a day. Or how about the Swiss franc? It's in a downtrend here. So you say to yourself, okay, well, I kind of missed the down move. I guess I'll look to buy. And look what happens. It closes above. So this is technical analysis 101, right? This is where you're supposed to buy. This is the way we've always been taught, right? Not exactly. What we want to do is follow the market rather than follow worn out old traditional types of trading. Because the market is telling us through the PTSXT that we're still in an extreme downtrend. So we shouldn't be buying until price leaves the red sell block. And on top of that, what do we have here? This bar closed above the previous bar's high. So that's a sell signal. So where you're thinking that we broke the downtrend, it's time to buy, our students at the PTSXT knew to sell the Swiss franc, and in the next week, it could have taken advantage of another 140 pips to the downside, or $1,400 in the next week or so per unit, potentially could have captured. Now it's currency pairs. How about a weekly chart? Here's a weekly chart of Lulu. Okay, let's say once again you were long this stock and you say to yourself, gosh, I missed this. I didn't know it was going to fall out of bed like this. This was in April of this year on a weekly time frame. And boy, now I'm left holding the bag. And what do I do now? Well, look what happened. The next 2 weeks, it started to go up. And in fact, that guy on TV who's been watching it says it's time to buy and get back into Lulu. This is a great stock. It bottomed out. It came down too strongly. It was so oversold, and it's time for it to go back. It's reversed, and now they're a buyer of Lulu. So you figure to yourself, okay, I'm long. I guess I'll buy some more because maybe I'll make back what I lost initially. But what do? Well, we tell our students to follow only what the market is telling us. Click on PTSXT. In the drop-down menu, click on Highlighted Signal. And guess what? The PTSXT, which takes all its information from the market, is telling us we are still in a red sell block. So we are not looking to buy. We're still looking to go short or to exit a position. And in fact, guess what? We have a bar that closes above the previous bar's high. So if we were long, this is a great opportunity to get out because most likely we are going lower. This is not a position to stay into long or to buy more. And look what happened. Lulu fell 75 more points coming into July of this year, this month. Okay, so if you were long, this is a great tool to use to exit, to get out as soon as possible. All right, so let's go through the entire process again, even though we're looking at a weekly chart of AMD, right? Let's say we're looking at this and we're interested in buying AMD on a more swing trader, more investment type approach, but it doesn't seem to appear as if anything's happening right now. And for some reason, we forgot about it and we missed the move. We say to ourselves, oh man, I was looking at this thing last year and now coming into this year, it went up and I missed it. So gosh, I always miss the big moves. Traders love to play the victim, how they always, miss it and how they never make the money, how it's the big money that makes the money and I'm just a poor little loser, right? This is one of the things that gets in your way, this low self-esteem of being a trader. You have enough power once you are educated, know properly how to trade. The first thing you have to do is forget listening to outside sources tell you how to trade. I know this from first experience because this is the way I used to trade. When I first started trading 47 years ago on the floor, I did the same exact thing that most of you have been taught. Look at the earnings. Listen to the guys on TV or in the chat rooms. Even though we didn't have chat rooms back then, we had newsletters. But they should know what they're talking about, right? Subscribe to a signal service. They'll tell you what to buy or what to sell. This, in my opinion, is a recipe for disaster because my first year or two, I struggled tremendously. Even though I was on the trading floor, I couldn't make any money. My mentors taught me these same things that I teach my students around the world. And these are the things that have sustained me now for 47 years. So the first thing I would tell, and I do tell all my students, is to stop listening to outside sources. Quit the chat rooms, quit the blogs, quit looking for the earnings reports to find out if you should buy or sell. Forget about economic indicators. Just learn to listen to the chart in front of you. So the first thing we want to do is apply the PTSXT. On our platform, it's as simple as clicking it on, In the drop-down menu, click on highlighted signal. And guess what? We are still in a yellow buy block. So perhaps you haven't missed this move because it's still telling us that we are in an extreme trend. So a lot of traders would say, well, yeah, but we're in a yellow buy block. Do I just buy at the market on any bar? Well, it's up to you, but I have a technique that really has a high level of probability. And that's where, right here, the bar closes below the low of the previous bar. So here's the low of the previous bar, and we just barely closed below it. So that's a buy signal. That's how you know when to get in, either to go long or short or to exit. Because a lot of students, they feel uncomfortable just jumping in. They want a little structure. Well, here's your structure. So this was in January of this year where you could have gotten into AMD just based off this pattern. Not off any earnings, not off any news or announcements, just based off the pattern. And guess what? Coming into March of this year, you would already been able to potentially capture 92 points. You would not have missed the majority and the bulk of the big move. Okay, let's recap what we share with you today and what we taught you. The trading process is a three-step process. First of all, plot the PTSXT Extreme Trend Indicator. Then, in a yellow buy block, you want to buy the bar whose close is less than the previous bar's low. In a red sell block, you want to sell the bar whose close is higher than the previous bar's high. That's it. It's that simple. Remember, listening to outside economic reports, trying to figure out what the earnings are, going to a subscription service, it's just too complicated. I know from firsthand experience, like I said, I used to do all this stuff and it didn't work for me 47 years ago. So I honestly do not believe it's going to miraculously start working 47 years later. It's been estimated that upwards of 80 to 85% of all traders fail. And when we say fail, it doesn't mean that, well, you're going to have a bad week or a bad month. It means that they'll literally give all the money they have saved for trading back to the market. They'll lose everything. Take advantage of this education that I'm treating you, of high probability things that I'm trying to instill in you. Take advantage of this and take your trading to the next level. The PTSXT indicator was designed to identify these extreme trends in advance. Now, it's based on multiple proprietary indicators and their relationship to one another. The good news is you don't have to figure out all these things in real time the way I did initially. It's all done there for you by painting these yellow buy blocks or red sell blocks for you to just take advantage of with one click. So because of its simplicity, it's official. The PTSXT is our simplest trading tool to apply. So ask yourself, after what you've seen today and after what I've taught you, do you think this indicator can help you trading for the remainder of 2024? Well, we have a good crowd here today, and I think if you honestly answer, you'd say yes. So because of that, we have a great offer for all of you attending today. This is our never miss a big move again with this indicator offer. This is the PTSXT Extreme Trend. We're going to offer this to you. You're going to get instant access. It generates these high probability zones and blocks, and you can apply to any market and any time frame. Now, a lot of our students like to trade their current strategy with the PTSXT. They say, Steve, you know what? My strategy is okay, but I've increased my odds for consistency because I only take the signals once they're in a buy block or a sell block. That's great. So you can do that as well. A number of our students also like to build a strategy based on the PTSXT. That's fine as well. However you decide to choose to trade it, it gives you the confidence to pull the trigger. Now, everything you saw today was displayed using the platform that I developed with Pro Trader Strategies, the PTS Primo charting platform. This is the educational platform that identifies these extreme trends in advance. Now, you can't find the PTS or use it on any other platform. You'll only find it on our PTS Primo charting platform. So here's the second part, or the bonus part of our offer today. New customers will receive a full year, 12 months free of the platform. So you're not only going to get the PTSXT, but you get full access on the platform absolutely free. Now, I have developed and put together a host of different tools and indicators on our platform. I developed with Pro Trader Strategies, and these are techniques and strategies and methods that you won't find anywhere else. other than on the PTS Primo charting platform. Things like our enhanced buy sell line that will tell you the overall trend, not the short-term extreme trend, but the overall trend in a matter of seconds. Auto-generated exit levels. These are levels that you just with one click will share with you a different way in which to exit the trade you're already in. But here's one of the best things. Even though we have dozens of tools, one of the best things that I just can't share with you all of them because there's just too many to talk about is our signal scanner. The signal scanner takes literally seconds to use to find out where these PTSXT blocks, either yellow blocks or red blocks are. And then you can find them, and just in a matter of minutes, you can go through them and scan and find out which ones you want to trade. For example, this is something you could have done just in the past week or so. On our platform, once you open it up, you'll see the screen like this. You have no chart plotted yet. So you would just click on PTSXT Extreme Trend, and instead of clicking on highlighted signal, what you would click on is scan. Now, we provide you with a list of different markets, anywhere from ETFs to crypto to currency pairs to indices. Now, let's say we wanted to scan the NASDAQ, okay? So you could have scanned the NASDAQ and seen that Apple, this was just the last day of June, just about a little over a week ago, was in a yellow buy block, okay? So you say to yourself, hey, okay, I'm going to look for that pattern that Steve taught me about a couple of weeks ago. And guess what? What do we have here? This close on the 28th of June was lower than the low of the previous bar. Okay, so what's it telling us? Apple was giving us a buy signal on the 28th, which you could have scanned for in a matter of minutes. You could have said, hey, I'm going to buy that. Now, you could either buy the opening the next day. You could have put a limit in. We teach you all these different things, how to enter in the course. But let's just say you purchased it. Look what happened. Apple has gone up 21 points in just 7 days. Now, I took this snapshot just a couple of hours before today's presentation. So this just happened in the last 7 days. I know a lot of you go to presentation and webinars, you see these fantastic setups, and they look amazing, and then you look at the date, and they're a year ago, okay? But we like to share with you that these things are happening all the time, very recent. And this just happened 7 days ago. So unfortunately, if you had become a student of mine in the PTSXT course a couple of weeks ago, you could have taken advantage of this Apple setup. But guess what? There are setups like this being generated all the time. So you're not going to miss anything, okay? Never miss a big move again with the PTSXT. There's a high probability that you can catch these moves, and I can't think of a better tool that I've used in my 47 years that will help you have a high probability to never miss a big move again. Okay, so let's break down our never miss a big move offer, okay? Now, normally, if we didn't have a great discount going with the PTSXT, it would cost you roughly close to $5,000. That's how valuable this indicator is, and that's how popular it is. But here's the great discount we have for you today. We're not going to charge you $49.95. We have a great offer. A one-time payment of $497, less than $500. All you have to do is have a one-time payment of $497 and then establish a $97 per month payment plan. That's it. For less than $100 a month, you can be up and running as early as today. You can have full use of the PTSXT indicator on our platform, and you can be set up using all of this right away today. Now, if you want to pay in full, I know a lot of traders like to say, listen, I don't want to establish a payment plan. I'm ready to buy it in full. Well, guess what? We're going to discount as well, 10%. You'll still save $500. We'll charge you $44.95, okay? And it's yours in full. You don't have to worry about a payment plan. Now, regardless of how you decide to go, either paying in full or establishing a payment plan, you're still going to get a full year free of the platform with all these other tips, techniques, and strategies included already on the platform that I apologize, I just don't have time to go into because there's just so many of them. Take your trading to the next level with the PTSXT Extreme Trend Indicator. If you've been struggling, I really feel confident that this tool can help you finish out the year strong. Here's how to take advantage of this. Contact my sister site, Pro Trader Strategies. They are in charge of all the discounts. They're in charge of all the tech support. They can actually set you up today if you'd like, if you're ready to purchase this, or if you want more information, I would highly recommend giving them a call at this number, 310-598-6600. 6677. They have trading consultants manning the phones right now. They would be happy either to take your order, establish a payment plan for $497 and then $97 a month, or answer any question that you may have about the platform, about the PTSXT, or any other of our strategies and techniques that we have, okay? They're very flexible. They're there to work with you, and there's no obligation to purchase anything. So give them a call if you have any questions. But right now, as I stated, I would reserve the last portion of this to answer any questions that you may have. So if you do have questions regarding what we just went over right now, either go to the chat little box out there, the little chat icon, click that on, or the question and answer icon, and click them on, and I will be happy to answer any question that you may have, okay? Someone asks, can this be applied to intraday E-mini trading? Yes, it can. In fact, that's what I use it on. I use the PTSXT on intraday trading. I trade the E-minis intraday. And so, yes, it doesn't matter. Wherever there is an extreme trend in place, the PTSXT will identify it in advance, okay? Because it doesn't know what market it's looking at. It doesn't say, well, this is based off of an indice, and so I don't look at those things. No, the PTSXT is just based off market behavior. And so it doesn't know if it's looking at a weekly chart. It doesn't know if it's looking at crypto. It doesn't know if it's looking at a tick chart or a stock. It just identifies wherever those extreme trends are at the moment. Okay. And so, yes, if you're an intraday trader, regardless of intraday trading of stocks, whatever, yes, it can really help you trade those as well. Okay. Where do I get out? How about where do I place my stop? Excuse me. Those are very valid questions. And guess what? Excuse me. Those are all explained in the course. In the course, we teach you upwards of 6 or 7 different ways to enter. I just taught you one way. We have 6 or 7 different ways to place your stop. We also have 6 or 7 different ways to have exiting, and different ways in which to exit with a profit. So there's lots of great different choices to take, because remember, you are in charge. So our job as a mentor, as a educator, is to provide you with different ways to enter, exit, place your stop, so that you can feel comfortable. In other words, if I said you must enter at the market on the opening of the next day, someone would say, well, I don't feel comfortable doing that. What if it gaps up? I'm not that type of a trader. Or I have a small account. I just can't buy this stock at the market. So we know that everyone has different parameters, different risk parameters. So we give you different variables. Remember, you will only become a consistent trader once you feel comfortable trading your strategy. And the way you feel comfortable is by making your own trading decisions, not by allowing someone to tell you what to buy or what to sell. So this is extremely important. This is why we provide you with all of this. Now, that link you see at the very bottom is the link that will take you to the info page as well as the sign-up page. It's not a live link, but they just posted a live link in the chat box. So if you go to the chat box, there's a live link there. Just click that on and it will open up a browser for you, okay? Any more questions? Any more questions? Steve, I have not been trading that long. What if I have questions for you? Oh, if you have questions for me, guess what? The next best thing for having me sit next to you, which I would love to do, but unfortunately I have students around the world in over 115 countries. So the next best thing is everyone has my private email address. Now, this is not something where you send and it goes to an intern or goes to an assistant or to a salesperson. It comes directly to me. I'm the only one that sees your questions. And so it's the next best thing to having me sit right next to you. So for any reason, I don't care what it is, if something doesn't make sense to you or you just want me to check your work, you can always send me a snapshot of something you're interested in. I will answer your question. You can either email me before the opening, after the close, during the market hours, even on the weekends. It makes no difference. That's the next best thing to having me right there next to you, okay? So we want to be with you every step of the way. So if you feel something doesn't make sense or it's too complicated for you, don't worry. And as you saw today is about as complicated as it gets. It really isn't that much more complicated than what you saw. But that's okay. If someone still needs some help, we'll be there with you every step of the way, okay? Okay, any more questions? If there are no further questions, remember, this offer is for a limited time only. Then the cost goes back up to close to $5,000. If you've been struggling, I don't want to charge you $5,000 if I know you've been using a lot of your hard-earned saved money. So take advantage of this. If you've been struggling and you want to finish out the year strong, I truly believe the PTSXT can really help you on your way. So you can really close out 2024. We're already halfway through the year. So even though you may think, well, to close out 2024, that's a long ways away. Well, guess what? We're halfway through. And most people didn't even believe we're here this quickly. So it's going to come quickly. The end of 2024 will come quickly. And this will be a great way to close out, in my opinion. Contact Pro Trader Strategies if you're interested at all at 310-598-6677. They're there to work for you. So don't worry. They would be happy to give you quotes, or they'd be happy to answer questions. There's absolutely no obligation at all. Okay. Now, as we close up and we take one last look at our Twitter and our YouTube subscription page here, remember, if you want to follow us on Twitter, there's our handle right there, SPCLSTTRADG. I post a lot of information on a daily basis. Also, if you've been following us and watching us on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. We'll get a lot more of these on YouTube, and you'll be able to find out when we have our presentations, okay? As we take a look at our disclaimer page one last time, thank you so much for joining us. I really wish you all the best of luck. I hope you learned something today, but most especially, I look forward to you becoming students of mine in the PTSXT course. Thank you so much for attending. Have a great Wednesday, and I shall see you next time. Bye-bye.